Hey YouTube, I had to come right back with this video, YouTube. So YouTube, if you go underneath this video, you'll see a video that we did about a woman that she basically did a hit and run. She didn't practically leave the scene. She went down the street and then called officers and said she thinks she hit a deer. So it turned out she hit three teenagers on a bridge because the bridge was newly built. It had a crosswalk there. And on top of that, she was intoxicated. So if the bridge was already newly built. I just went to my daughter's house the other day, and the way they newly built the interstate, I was going one way, and she was like, "You got to jump in the right lane." But by the time I'm trying to jump in the right lane, it's a big barrier right there in front of me. But thankfully, I got driving experience. I swooped in the right lane right quick and got off on the right exit. But if you don't drive a bridge every day or take that route every day, and I just went to my daughter's house a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't even that way. Now it's that way. So her being intoxicated, she definitely was off her square. Ain't no doubt about it. I'm not making no excuses for her. They gave her 20 years. She hit three little boys. She hit three boys. Two of them succumbed to their injuries. So I said I was looking for this video because I remember my cousin best friend children. They was leaving the park one day. They were colored kids. A non-colored woman hit them and left the scene. They didn't find her for days or weeks. I can't recall what it was. Like I said, it's been so long. We finna read it together. They gave her probation, if I'm not mistaken. She ended up getting probation. So she hit 4 children. I just briefly read the article to make sure this is the one I was telling y'all about. She hit 4 children. 2 of them were unalive. So YouTube, here we go. Let's read this together. It says driver under arrest. Fatal hit and run charge. Leaving the scene. So this happened June the 20th, 2006. Well, this is when this paper came out. The wreck actually happened March the 31st. I'm sorry, 2000. Let me see, updated June 20, 2006. But let's read through the paper to see exactly when it happened. It's the Tampa Bay Times. This is where I got this from. So it says 4 weeks, Jennifer Porter, that was her name, avoided cameras, questions, and jail. So she unalived. She hit 4 kids, left the scene. 2 of them were unalive. And for 4 weeks, she avoided cameras, questions from the police, and never went to jail. It said the 28-year-old elementary school dance teacher, I knew she was a teacher, she was a dance teacher, was the most prominent suspect in the March 31st hit and run that killed 2 siblings and injured 2 others. Her family sheltered her. Powerhouse attorney Barry Cohen protected her from media inquiries and questions from the sheriff investigators. So this lawyer, the sheriff didn't even get to talk to her, period. Because that's how it's supposed to be. Ain't no talking. You talk to my attorney. She ain't even go to jail for 4 whole weeks. You know why? Because they hadn't talked to her. They had to get all the evidence together and see that she did it and whatever else the case may be. Because remember, she hit those kids and left the scene. It says here, 4 weeks later, she hit them on March the 31st. 4 weeks later, that ended. Shortly before 10 a.m., 4 weeks after the crash on 22nd Street that killed Bryant Wilkins, 13, and his 3-year-old brother, Durante Caldwell. Porter surrendered at a on rule jail. Charged with 1 felony count. I want y'all to hear these charges. And don't forget to go watch the video right underneath this and see what that woman was charged with. And they hit that woman underneath this video. She hit 3 teenagers. They were 18, 20, and 22, something like this. This lady hit children. The oldest being 13. She hit 4 of them. The oldest one was 13. 2 was unalive. I think the other 2 sisters and brothers lived. It says shortly before 10 a.m., 4 weeks after the crash on 22nd Street that killed Bryant Wilkins, 13, his 3-year-old brother, Durante Caldwell, Porter surrendered at Orange Road Jail, charged with 1 felony count of leaving the scene of a fatal crash. She faces a maximum of 15 years. Did anybody see that she was being charged with 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of leaving the scene of a fatal crash? No, I'm sorry. It should have been 4. It should have been 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted, 4 counts of leaving the scene of a fatal crash. Y'all go watch the video underneath this and then come back to this one. But instead, she was charged with 1 felony count of leaving the scene of a fatal crash. She was a non-colored woman that hit colored kids. She was charged with 1 felony count of leaving the scene of a fatal crash. She faced a maximum of 15 years in prison. The mother of the 2 children who succumbed to their injuries in the road said Wednesday she hopes Porter spends time behind bars. My kids were left in the road like dogs, Lisa Wilkins said at a news conference. That was her name, Lisa. Porter said nothing as she walked into the jail with Cohen at her side. She wore dark brown pants, light boots, and a long-sleeve black shirt. Her dark hair was pulled back, her face pale despite generous strokes of blush and reddish bronze lipstick. Man, this writer ain't play with her. She walked out the jail nearly 4 hours later after posting a $7,500 bond. $750. So after posting $750 on the bail, she walked out the jailhouse 4 hours later. Her lawyer was gone. Television crews surrounded her. Reporters fired questions. Porter tried to hurry into a Bell's Bowman's Lee Garcia's black Ram 1500 pickup truck. But before she could, a loud booming voice confronted her. Murderer, 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 murderer. Linda Eltwood shook with anger as she hurled the words at Porter. Porter kept her head down and said nothing. Eltwood kept talking, her voice rising. She unalived 2 children and walked out like this, like it's nothing, shouted Edwards, 47-year-old Tampa person who had waited 2 hours to confront Porter. Those children that she unalived deserve more respect than that. State Attorney Mark Obers, if you're from Tampa, Florida, you know who that is, decision not to charge Porter with vehicular homicide angered strangers such as Eltwoods, as well as neighbors in the university area community where the victim lived with their siblings and mother Lisa. I don't think I need to leave reading no more, but let's go ahead and finish reading it. Had Ober filed vehicular homicide charges, he could have charged Porter with both boys unaliving. She could have been sentenced to as many as 30 years in prison, 15 years for each count. For a vehicular homicide charge to succeed, prosecutors will have to have proved Porter was illegally intoxicated or driving in a reckless manner. Now, remember, she left the scene, so they don't know if she was legally intoxicated or even driving reckless. I don't think nobody's seen the wreck. I think the kids just somebody. Well, I'm sure somebody's seen it, but not enough to say yes, she was driving reckless. They seen them kids laying in the streets, if I'm not mistaken. Investigators said she was driving 6 to 10 miles per hour over the 30-mile speed limit. Like I said, it's speed bumps all up that area. If you're from here, you know that. So that means she was going 36 to 40 miles per hour up that road. That alone is not considered reckless. Under Florida law, there is no indication that she was drunk or on drugs. Y'all let the girl go home for 4 weeks. For 4 weeks straight, the girl went home. And did whatever else she had to do. I'm sure her mama was loaded with money, seen doctors, took the medication to clean her system out, stripped it out of hair, whatever, however you do these things, I'm sure money can pay for all that. Then it says other factors also could undetermine a vehicular homicide charge. The crash occurred just after dark. Witnesses said some street lights were out and the children were not crossing at the crosswalk. So now they blamed it on the children. They say these children wasn't crossing at a crosswalk. But like I said, you walk out these kids, one of my first front door, I never forget it. You walk directly in the park when you cross the street. Directly in the park. You walk out the park and cross the street, a little small, narrow street. You walk directly into them kids' mama front door. Why they need to go to the crosswalk 10 miles down the way? Let me stop screaming. I'm just upset, y'all. Prosecutors say they cannot charge someone with a crime if they don't think they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Come on, bro. You know you and the judge go out to eat together, play golf together, party together, swap wives together, all that stuff that go down at the courthouse. Y'all do all that. You know that. You know that's why she didn't get charged. It says, according to state sentencing guidelines, Porter faces 22 months to 15 years in prison for the charge of leaving the scene of a fatal accident. So she could have got 22 months, y'all, up to 15 years. Y'all know what she got, but let's just keep reading. I'm guessing she got something closer to the 22 months probation. That's what she got. She ain't get no prison time. It says, there is no basis for vehicular homicide, Cohen said as he left the jail. Mark Ober did the right thing. She made a mistake, y'all, by leaving the scene, and she'll be held accountable. Baby, I need to go find her on the web. Held accountable how? Doing probation? Her daddy, the judge, they lawyer and all them go out to eat together and play golf together. What? Her PO probably go to her house and take all her information and go back to the office. She probably never had to step a foot in the probation office. We know how that game play. Witnesses say Porter, who had been at Mueller Elementary after preparing for a dance recital, got into her car on March 31st about 3 minutes before the 7:10 p.m. crash, according to the probable cause affidavit. So what they're saying is that she had just left the school from teaching kids for a dance recital. Because remember, that's what they're saying. This happened right before dark. The crash was called in at 7:10. They're saying she left the school 3 minutes prior to that. So they're saying she left the school at 7:07. Dance recital go that long? Because I know school got out at 2:15. So dance recital lasted for 5 hours, y'all. That's what they want us to believe. This dance recital lasted for 5 hours. No, that lady left that school and went somewhere and got toured with her friends, however they do. Blank girl wasted. And probably was wasted. What else reason would you leave the scene? You just hit 4 colored children. Why else would you leave the scene? And nobody spoke to her, talked to her, seen her, none of that for 4 whole weeks. Y'all want to read it, y'all read it. I don't even want to read it no more. It says Cohen, I guess that's a lawyer, called the sheriff investigators 2 days after the crash and told them where to find Porter's damaged Echo on April the 5th. That ain't 2 days. The wreck happened on March 31st. That's 5 days. They'll put anything in the paper. And you know why they do this? Because if they want to hide something from us, all they got to do is put it in the book or in the temperature room. That's it. Investigators did not arrest her. They were not in any hurry. She was not considered a risk to flee. And once they arrested her, the speedy trial rule demands that the trial take place within 175 days. We had to wait on information that was essential to the investigation of the crash and critical to our decision on what charges to file. They followed the rules basically. So they just came with a little simple plea of probation because she could have, yeah, speedy trial. For once, they followed the rules, y'all. After that news conference in Cohen's office, Porter dropped out of sight. Her parents were subpoenaed and initially refused to talk to investigators, in which case they could have been sent to jail. New details emerged in the case. Here's where Sheriff Cal Henderson said investigators are confident the 2000 Toyota Echo that Porter drove hit all 4 children and was likely the only car to hit Bryant, Durante, and his siblings. Investigators have said previously that a Honda or a white van or both might have been involved. Of course, they made like some other vehicles could have hit the kids also, so they pleaded for the drivers to come forward. They never heard anything. Oh boy, y'all. Give me a minute, y'all. If y'all want to read it, you can always pause it and read it. I'm trying to find out exactly how much time was she given. So yeah, they charged her with one count of leaving the scene of an accident involving a death. That's it. So, oh, I really wanted y'all to see that. I wish what I can do is just I wish I could have got some videos, but it was hard to find that. So let me see. But yeah, y'all, I said all that to say this. We were speaking about it because the video underneath this, you'll see how they treated this woman and why I said the things I said in my video, because clearly I just showed y'all proof. This happened right in my city. A non-colored woman versus the video up under here, she's a colored woman, hit 4 colored kids, unalived 2 of them, left the scene, didn't speak to nobody for 4 weeks straight. Her attorney didn't allow her to. That's why I was saying, remember the first rule, you have the right to remain silent. Again, YouTube, I just want to bring y'all that done pissed me off all over again. That happened way in 2000 and something. But again, YouTube, stay woke. Stay woke. And remember your constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent. Teach your kids that. It's a movie on Netflix called The Making of a Murderer. I think it's called The Making of a Murderer. It's about a kid that they took him into interrogation and basically made him say all this and that by, you'll see it. And he ended up getting his case overturned. And then they ended up accusing him of the same charge again, and he ended up going back, and I think they still find the charge, but it's called The Making of a Murderer. Basically, y'all, teach your kids, even if they're in school, and the principal called them in the office and said, "What happened? Sir, is it okay if we get my mom on the phone while we discuss this?" That's your constitutional right. To have somebody there with you when you're a child, that's going to be your mother, or if you're an adult, your lawyer, to say, hey, don't say nothing, or yeah, go ahead and answer that, or don't ask my client that, or you stepping out of line, or you this and that. Yeah, teach your children. Teach your children. Teach your children so they can know early. Again, YouTube, stay woke. This video done pissed me off. I'm gonna go ahead and just get off this subject for the night. Stay woke, YouTube.